Thanks everyone for joining Jesse's webinar series. Happy Friday. We're excited to go through some replenishment and kitting logic with you guys today. Before I hand things off to Joe, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm James Gibson. I'm one of the solutions account managers here at JASCI. So if there's any questions on the follow, please let us know. I'll be monitoring the question and answer chat as well. Joe, would you like to make an introduction?
Sure. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to our webinars. My name is Joe Rist. I'm the Director of Solution Sales here at JASCI. And today we'll be going through another webinar on replenishment and kitting and the picking processes involved in those as well. So feel free to ask questions as I go through this demonstration, and we'll try to get them answered. And then we'll have a few minutes at the end to answer any questions that come in as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Joe. Yeah,
Mhm.
just to go over some of the logic that Joe's speaking about, right? We're going to be talking about our replenishment controls, setting up replenishment rules for locations, frequency, triggers, etc. Going over some of the picking methods in regards to replenishment, right? So pick, restock, and put away, direct let down to location, as well as some of our kit and set configurations. So kit to stock, kit to order, sets as well, and then how to build a kit as well. All right. So, Joe, without further ado, I'll hand things over to you and we can
Sure.
get started.
Yep. And if you could just confirm that my screen is sharing.
Yep, I can see it.
Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So today's webinar, we're going to do the first half on the replenishment, and then the second half will be on kitting and sets, which are a type of kits in JASCI. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, I happen to store my replenishment controls and picking flows and such under my inventory tab. However, some people consider it more of an outbound related activity. You can store it wherever. That's one of the benefits of JASCI's menu system. But today we're going to start off by going into our replenishment controls menu. So replenishment controls is going to be kind of the background set of rules for what products are replenished where, what the frequency is of those replenishments, how much we're filling our locations with these restocks or replens, the style of picking, all sorts of rules that are kind of sitting there in the background. So as you put products away to various locations, it's going to reference these rules and also know what the replenishment plan will be for that product in that location. So not only is it a set of rules for what goes down in these replans, but it also controls as you put new things away, making sure what rules they have to follow. So to go into one of these, we could just hit the edit. You'll see I have a few replen rules for my prime areas. If you have an area where you don't have them set up, it might tell you no replenishment controls. That's typically going to be your bulk areas where you pick your replens from, but you're setting up these rules for the locations that you're replenishing to. So just keep that in mind. So we're going to go into my zone 100, which is one of my prime pick areas. And you're going to see that we have auto create replenishment plans. So I just spoke about this a moment ago. As we put new products away to locations within this work zone, to be able to figure out what that replenishment plan is, when we have it set to yes, that means items that go into these locations in this zone are going to reference these rules to figure out the min max and the frequency of replenishments. And that next field that we see down here, the percent of max for min calculation, you could set a percentage. So this is going to be based on your products that are in the location, their dimensional data, as well as the dimensional data of the location in itself. And then it's going to use a percentage to understand what quantity is appropriate to replenish what quantity in the location. Once it drops below a certain threshold, that's when we know to replenish that location with more of that SKU. So some people might have this to where it goes completely empty before you do any kind of replenishment. Some might want like a 10% or a 25%. You could see in here I have 75% just because I want to make sure in all of my picking demos that I have plenty of inventory available. But you could set this percentage to whatever you want, and then it's going to do the math in the background, comparing the product dims to the location dims, and get that ideal amount of quantity to replenish. Now, you may not want that to be purely on, say, eaches. You may want that to be considering like the case unit of measure so that you're not breaking cases in your bulk area, or maybe you want to replenish a full pallet and not break a pallet for the sake of replen. That's where down here in this min-max method, you can also select cases or pallets as your option. I have eaches here because I just go ahead and just replenish by eaches. But you do have that option, and then the system will ensure that we do this in multiples of the cases for that unit of measure, or only one pallet at a time for the replenishment. Now, we can also declare where the replenishments are coming from. Typically, that's going to be from the same fulfillment center, but JASCI does have the logic to be able to replenish from additional fulfillment centers that are set up, and then we treat it more like a transfer. Once it comes in, it knows where it's going to for the put away. And then you can declare your replenish from area. So if there's a particular area that you want this replenishment location to get its inventory from, you can dictate that. So my area that I've declared is bulk. And then one more thing to talk about in here, the replenishment method with pick put. That's going to be where we are going and picking a restock and then creating a put away for someone to perform with a separate workflow. A lot of our customers choose to do the pick put because they may be going to pick these replenishments in bulk with large equipment that's not going to be driven into the prime areas that you're replenishing to. You may have a difference of team or difference of equipment between those two types of aisles. So that's where pick put would come in handy. However, some of our customers like to do it all in one motion, where someone goes and grabs the bulk inventory and then brings it to the final location all in one workflow, one move. This is what we call a letdown because typically you do this when you have the bulk inventory up above the rest of the inventory that you typically pick from, and therefore you'd be letting it down. But it doesn't have to be stored right above it. It's just a one move versus the two step, which we have the pick put. Now, we also have a few additional selections down here, like for example, minimum days of inventory. This would ensure that you have a certain amount of inventory on hand at all times. Maybe you know that there's going to be a huge sale on this product or it's very seasonal, and you want to ensure that you have plenty of inventory to pick in the event of a spike of orders. And then you can also say days to remove. So maybe we only want this SKU to get replenishments for a certain amount of time because it's new or it's seasonal or it's going to be no longer available on the website or something down the road. You could say how many days until you'd like to remove this replenishment rule. So what we call the replenishment controls are kind of the controls in the background that create these rules that the system will go by. So that min-max calculation, that's going to dictate when it's time to systematically create a new restock or letdown based on the inventory in the location. If someone picks it down below that minimum or someone adjusts it down below that minimum, we're going to go and automatically create a replenishment in the background. And that's one method of creating replenishments in JASCI. We have a few others as well. We do have a schedule that you can run, say, at the end of the day or at the end of the shift, and that could go and look at all the locations that could use more inventory. Maybe they're not necessarily below their minimum, but you would like to go ahead and fill them up to the top. We have a schedule that can run and go and create those. Maybe you do replenishments during the night or have a separate shift for it. That's always a good option to use that scheduled job. And then also, we have the ability to just go ahead and declare any location that you'd like to replenish now. You can generate a replenishment with a particular button. And we're going to look at that in just a moment. If we go into hit back and look at this screen again, you'll see we have a copy. So if we wanted to copy the replenishment rules from one zone to another, we could do so. We could also store notes about it in case maybe we want to, keep a history of changes that we've made or, keep some comments for the other teams or the other shifts. And then we have this locations button. So this locations button is actually going to show you your relationship of products to locations, what those min maxes are, what the replenishment methods are, last date that they've been replenished, things like that. And then also if we scroll to the right, we can see some buttons here, one to replenish it, maybe one we want to edit the min and the max of that location or some of the other rules. And then you'll also see this pick clean button. Pick clean is a great feature in JASCI. This is where we no longer want to associate this SKU with this location. However, we don't want to move them out of there and create extra work for ourselves. So what this pick clean does is going to tell the allocation flow saying, hey, please prefer this location when people are ordering this product so that we can go ahead and pick it clean and then have it open for a new product to be put away there and create a new replenishment rule for that new product. So this is actually a pretty nice button to help maintain your inventory by clearing out old product, but not necessarily going and creating extra moves to do so. It's just going to make the allocation flow prefer it. So this is where you can go and observe your different replenishment locations by either the location ID or the product, or if you have it manually controlled or not, if you do any kind of seasonality. So it's a nice area to go and see what those replenishment rules have created based on your inventory. So that's kind of the background rules. What we're going to show now is an actual replenishment. Before I go and pick that, I'm just going to go into gravity. We're actually going to talk about gravity quite a bit on the next webinar, where we talk about order management and prioritization and how this all works in a system-directed environment. Gravity is a tool that goes hand in hand with that because you can create reports for yourself that will show you how much work you have out there by a particular work type. And, with a lot of things like replenishment and order picks, system-directed control with priority is vital for that. So we could see here we have, a certain amount of cycle counts, letdowns, location checks, and restock picks. These letdowns and restock picks, these are for those locations that dropped below their minimum and they require a replenishment to get back up to their maximum. Now, something to comment on the priority of pick restocks and letdowns is if you have an open order out there that requires that SKU and we're awaiting a replenishment to occur, so that SKU can get into inventory and then we can have a picker go get that product and get the order out the door. Those are going to be automatically boosted to the front of the line. We call that a hot priority restock. So those will automatically get that prioritization boost. But let's say you wanted to go a level further and make sure that particular SKUs are the absolute first ones that are released. You can actually come in here into Gravity and go into a particular restock that you'd like to ensure is going to happen, and you can hit force and give it a particular amount of points for priority. So what that's going to do is say, okay, this next time someone signs into zone 600 for a restock, they're going to get this one first because it's the highest priority restock in that work zone. So this is an area in Gravity. We're going to go into this deeper on the next webinar, but this is a great viewpoint for monitoring how much work that you have out there and also having the ability to go and take action on the priority of it. And it's seamless for your workers on the floor, where they're going to be signing into a work zone and just receiving the highest priority restock pick or whatever activity they're doing. So if we come in onto the mobile device and we look at our pick restock flow, this is going to show us, ask us to sign into a workbench first. The reason that we're going to sign into a workbench first is because we are going to be printing out labels for the put away portion of this. As we pick our cases down, we're also going to issue out a label that has an LPN on it. So someone can simply scan that LPN and be guided to the to location that this replenishment needs to go. Now, these printers, you can have a mobile printer for the person doing the picking of the restocks, or maybe you have that as more of the job of the person who's doing the putaways. They grab all the labels of what was just picked for restocks, they go and apply them to the boxes or cases that were picked, and then they start scanning them and putting them away. So we're going to sign into our workbench. That allows us to communicate which printer we want these put-away labels for the restocks to be printed out of. Next, we're going to go to our work zone. So a work zone is going to be how we distinguish which aisles and areas of the warehouse that we particularly want to look for restock picks in. So you may send certain employees to certain work zones for this. I know I have a restock in zone 600, so I'm going to go into my zone 600 for this example today. And then this is going to say, okay, here's the location that you're going to. Please travel there. So I'm going to travel there and I'm going to scan the location. And this is going to then tell us what product we're picking. So we can see it's product 2287. We actually need to pick 16 of them. So when we go and scan the product to verify we have the right one, you'll notice there's also a cut button in case we weren't able to pick that product there. And then it's going to look for additional locations that we can pull this product from. But we're going to hit 2287. It's going to ask us how many that we've picked, which will say 16. And now it's going to, we're going to move on to, since we picked them all, we're going to move on to see if there's any more items that we need to pick, or if we've picked the last restock in the location. Now, if we do have more restocks to pick that we can go and grab, let's say we had, a cherry picker that we can go up with, and we have a whole pallet that we're picking cases to from multiple SKUs. Once we're done and we can't fit any more on the pallet that we're picking to, we can simply hit this pallet full. And what that's going to do is ensure that we have all of our labels printed, and those putaways, those restock putaways, are going to be ready for people to start performing. So again, whether you have the picker or the putaway person applying those labels to the boxes, the LPNs on those labels are now ready to go to be put away into location. So that's a little bit on our pick restock. The difference with a pick restock, again, with a letdown, is going to be that the letdown, you're going to the location to pick from, and then instead of just ending and wanting you to go do more restock picks, it's going to tell you one at a time to bring that product you just picked to its to location, keeping it all in one step. Again, the difference between this is typically going to be based on the equipment that you're using, the distance between the locations of where you're replenishing from and where you're replenishing to. In most commonly, the letdown is going to be used when you have your bulk inventory in locations that are right above the location that you're dropping it down into for easier picking. So that was the first half of our webinar, which was on the replenishment controls, the replenishment locations, a little bit about gravity, and then also the pick restock workflow, and also the differences between a pick restock and a letdown. Next, we're going to go into the second half of this webinar, which is on the kits and how we control kit to stock and kit to order within JASCI. And then we'll show a quick example of requesting, picking, and building a kit. So we're going to start by going into our kitting submenu where I have the kit set maintenance. And the kit set maintenance, you're going to have a parent product ID for the kit. That's going to contain all of the child products within it. And this kit set maintenance area is where you can create new kits. And you'll also see the word set. So a kit in JASCI is going to be kit to stock, meaning that we want to maintain a particular amount of inventory of this kitted product already, and go out and pick the child products, build them, and then put that parent product away into inventory for further allocation. If it's going to be a set, that's where an order comes down for that parent product, and the picker actually goes and picks all of the child products and brings them to the pack station, where they're then combined into that set with any kind of instructions as well that would display for the user. So if we just go into an example product that I have, we can search my parent product 1750, and we're going to see the kit set maintenance setup for that. I change my product names around all the time. So you'll see this one is a 24 count of orange juice, and this has three different products in it. Now, this kind of random product names and pictures and such, but what I want you to focus on down here is in the child products, you have your quantities, and then you can declare if it's pickable or real. Now, pickable means that we do store it in inventory and we do want somebody to go pick it during the picking process. If you have something that's not pickable, that means that the picker going to get all of these kitted items is not going to go and get that particular SKU. But maybe it's not pickable, but it is real, meaning that we want to deduct inventory that we have in the system for that. Maybe it's just something that you keep at your kitting station and you do track inventory for, but you don't want your pickers to be bothered with scanning that product in as something that they've picked. Now, if it's not real, meaning it's not pickable and you don't want to maintain inventory levels of it, maybe it's like tissue paper or something like that, then that's where you do, and like I have here with bubble wrap, that's where you could put non-pickable, non-real. So this is going to control what products you have and their various quantities. And you also have these buttons for instructions. Now, again, this one's a kit, which means that when it's a kit, we're picking those items, combining them, and putting them back into inventory. If I had set this to a set, this is going to still have all the same rules, but it doesn't come into play until we're actually picking the items for an order that has that parent SKU. Now, the instructions can be at the header level, which you see here. I've got one in there that says, "Thank you for watching this webinar." We can also have instructions at the line level. So this is going to come into play down the road during the kit request and kit build screens, where you can view, and also the pack screens if it's a set, where you can view the instructions that come alongside of this kit for maybe how you want to combine the items together. Maybe if there's something you have to insert or like a gift card or a thank you or something like that. That's going to be what you could declare in the instructions. So this is kind of like the background setup, the bill of materials for that kit or that set. Now, if it is a kit to stock and we want to be able to request a certain amount to be built, we can observe our inventory to see how much we have. And if we choose we want to request more, we can request more with this screen. And then also, this is going to show us how much available quantity we have out there for each of the SKUs. So if I said I need 50 of these kits, it's going to tell me I don't have enough inventory for two of the three items within this kit, so therefore I can't request that many to be built. So it'll give you a real-time look into how much available allocatable inventory there is. So in this case, let's just say I wanted to build two of them. It's going to say that's okay to build. If I wanted to view any of my instructions along this path, I could. And this is kind of our manual way of requesting a certain amount of the kit to be built, which is pretty popular method. We also have an interface where you can interface in a kit request so that it just kind of treats it like an order coming down and you don't have to go through this screen. So we're going to hit the button to request and build this amount of kits. And since it has two, it's going out and finding where we want to allocate the two quantities of each of these products from. And it just created what we call a kit pick. Now, if we go back to Gravity, we can see in I'll go to the outbound tab because that's where I keep a lot of my profiles about picking on. This is going to show us how many orders we have and, broken down by type, by sales channel, by carrier if we want to. In this case, I have I have a lot of Amazon orders right now. And then I could see how many I have discrete. I could see my put walls, my singles, pallet picks, etc. But here in the open kit picks, we can see that there's 75 of them. So there's quite a bit to do. And again, we're going to talk more about Gravity on the next webinar, so we won't focus too much on that. Let's go ahead and show picking for one of these kits. So if we go into our pick cluster all, that's our workflow for really picking just about anything with a cart. You're going to enter in two things. You're going to enter in your zone that you're picking from and the cart that you're picking with. Now I'm going to look into our carts maintenance here and just find one of my picking carts that is for kits. I think I'm probably currently assigned to one, so I'll use that. So if we look here, I have a whole bunch of carts. We can actually show all the different carts that I have in the system. This cart lookup, you can actually see last time they were active, if they're currently active and assigned to anybody. You can see this is the one that's assigned to me right now. So if we look at this cart in edit or view, we can see what's going on with this kit. So it's a two-slot card. I only have one slot with work assigned to it with a kit that I'm going to be picking product for. And then I'm going to drop off this cart. Now we're going to talk more about cart logic and picking 2 webinars from now. So I won't go too much into detail on this cart setup. But this is one that I have dictated that I want it to be only for picking kit picks. So this is the one that we're going to sign in with, this JASCI 05 cart. Now, first I'm going to go into zone. Um, Let me see what zone this is actually in. So we can also look up the work tied to the cart. So this is in zone 100. That's where I'll sign into. And we're going to sign back into this cart. If I tried to sign into another cart, since I already have this one assigned to me, it's going to let me know. We'll show you some of those errors on picking and how we get around them and things like that on 2 webinars from now when we go through the picking flow. But you can see this is bringing me to go pick this product, the JASCI electrolyte drink. And we need to pick 2 of them. So when we go to this location, we're going to, this is actually a lot controlled product. So we're going to enter in our lot. And if it's expiry, we're going to be able to enter in an expiry date as well. And that's going to make sure that it's within the allowable window. It's going to call out how many we need to pick because there's a lot of things on the screen, numbers, names, etc. So giving a call out on the quantity is always very helpful for the operator. And we're going to look at the LPN that's tied to this cart, which you see right here. I'm going to typically on your cart, you're going to have that either print out so it's scannable for your cart slot, or it'll be always tied to that bin that's on the cart and you can easily scan it. Since I'm in a digital warehouse right now, I'm just going to copy and paste it. And this is going to confirm that we picked those two to this cart slot. Now, that was the only pick that I had on this cart for this demonstration. Wanted to keep it quick. So this is going to tell us to go take this to the drop-off point for the kit build. Now, if we come back to our screen, we'll see that we have that third final screen here called Kit Build. Now, for the pickers, they can just keep signing into more carts and performing more picks. And with this pick cluster all, you can go in and pick from a totally different type of cart if you'd like to, once you just picked that kit cart. But we're going to exit that workflow and we're going to focus on the full screen now. It is asking us to sign into a workbench because we will also be printing a put away label for this kit. So again, with workbenches, we want to make sure that we're signed into the appropriate label printer. And now we're going to scan that cart ID. I think it was JASCI 05 is what I was picking with. So when we scan the JASCI 05, this is then going to tell us what kit we are building from the products that were picked to that cart. It'll also tell us any other carts that were picked to that have products that we need to go grab and to be able to build our kits here. So we're trying to build two of these. You could see I actually picked a few of these other items a long time ago, actually. But we now have everything able to be put together because of this last pick that we just did a moment ago. So what we want to do is hit this build button, and that's going to ask us how many of the requested amount are we actually building. Just in the event that you discover maybe damaged product or anything like that, we're going to just pretend everything was good with these products that we picked. And also, if we needed to view our instructions or not, we could view them like this. Thank you for watching the webinar one. And we can enter in that we're building two, and we'll go ahead and hit build. And this, since we do have lot and expiry products in here, this is going to ask us to confirm that lot and expiration date. We can also do this automatically if you don't want it to be prompted by the user, where we take the soonest to expire expiration date and that becomes the expiry. However, maybe we want a particular lot for this new kit. So we're going to just use what I always use, my lots as test, and we're going to put in that same value that we entered before for the expiration date, which would be October. So we're going to go ahead and hit continue. And what that's going to do is create a put away for us for those two kits that we just built. And again, since we signed into a workbench, that's where the put away label will print out of. We can apply them to the kits. And then those are put aways that are ready to be performed by either that kitting person or maybe you use your put away staff to complete those put aways as well. So both the replenishment picks, the pick restocks, and then also the kit builds, those are creating putaways similar to putaways that you'd get from receiving. They follow that same logic where you scan the license plate number and you're guided to where we slotted that item to. And that concludes what we were going to show today. For the kitting portion, we talked about the kit set maintenance or the bill of materials for your kits and your sets. We talked about the difference between a kit and a set, which kit is kit to stock, a set is kit to order. We showed the kit request. We showed picking the kits, a little bit of gravity to find what we have out there and where. We talked a little bit about the carts that are used for picking kits, and then also showed the kit build screen to create the putaways of that new inventory. So really appreciate everybody joining the webinar today. If you have any questions, feel free to put them into the chat or to reach out to JASCI after the fact, and we'd always be happy to do a deeper dive, a demonstration, or just answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Joe. Great job demonstrating there. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. If not, I think our next webinar will be on Friday of next week, and that'll be going over some of our omni-channel order management functionality. So we look forward to seeing you there.
A good one.
Thanks,
All
everyone.
right, take care, everybody.